Well, hey, welcome to Let's Sit With This. I'm Kristen Calloway, a licensed therapist, and this is a place where we talk about hard things in a way that actually makes sense. More like chatting around a campfire than sitting in a therapist's office. Here we talk about getting through hard moments, healing old hurt, and growing into someone you're proud of. So pull up a chair, get comfy, and let's sit with this together. Well, hello. Welcome back to The Therapist's Bookshelf, the most laid-back book club that helps you grow. So if this is your first time listening to this series, welcome. Each month, I pick a book from my therapist to be read list, read it, and I share my thoughts with you. Nothing about this is sponsored or influenced by anyone. These authors have no idea I'm doing this at all. These are books that I genuinely believe can help me grow as a therapist and hopefully help my clients too. This month we read Maybe You Should Talk to Someone by Lori Gottlieb. And I have to tell you, I've actually read this one before. I loved it so much the first time that I had to include it in this list. I just wanted to read it again. I wish that everyone on this planet who had a pulse would read this book. That's how I feel about it. It's so good. The subtitle tells you a lot. A therapist, her therapist, and our lives revealed. So Lori Gottlieb is a therapist who ends up going to therapy herself after a major life rupture. And the book follows both her work with her own clients and her experience sitting in the client chair. And it's written in this cool, dual narrative that weaves back and forth between both worlds. And she's such a gifted writer. It just flows together so well. I love it. It's so beautifully structured. So when I read other books for this podcast series, I did my best to maintain kind of the clinical mindset when I was reading, and I would have, a pen with me and try to make little notes or underline things, specific things that I knew I wanted to bring up on the podcast. I didn't underline a dang thing in this book. And that's not because it wasn't worth underlining. It's because it was so easy and so enjoyable to read. It kind of almost read like a fiction book. She's a very gifted writer. And so I just kept going. I would kind of, read some of these little pearls of wisdom that she would have and be like, yeah, that's awesome. And then just keep going. I didn't think to stop. I didn't really want to stop, to grab a pen and do all that. It's just a really good book. So the first thing that stood out to me, and honestly what makes this book exceptional, is that dual narrative structure. So Gottlieb gives you two stories running side by side. You're with her in her therapy sessions with Wendell, her own therapist. And you're also with her in her sessions with her clients, following their stories across the whole arc of the book. And the way she weaves those two things together is it's really something. So what she does so well is make the therapist perspective accessible and understandable without making it clinical or cold. So she lets you inside the room and inside her mind as a therapist and the way that she feels towards her clients in a way that feels real. I think most people can relate that if their job is portrayed in a TV show or in a movie or even in a book, it's usually not done right. It's usually dramatized or things are so wildly incorrect. It is so painful. I just won't even watch any shows that really have to do with therapists or clinicians because it's just going to be so ridiculous. Well, this book is awesome because she is a therapist, and I'll tell you, she is a gifted therapist, that's for sure. So nothing is dramatized, and it's heartfelt. That journey is sometimes messy, and it's sometimes slow. She really showed you some examples of what real therapy can look like. What's cool is that she kind of followed the stories of a handful of clients. She would mention others, but There's a few where you followed their story for the whole arc. Let me tell you, some of them you do not like immediately. And then by the end, you may feel a little different. And there are some that you love deeply. And yeah, I'll just leave it at that. Some you start out not liking, and then some you love right off the bat. So as a therapist reading it, I felt seen. I felt like she really portrayed the therapist side of things. And I think as a client reading it, I've also been a client in my own therapy. So to somebody reading it who's been in therapy or who's never been in therapy, it gives you a cool window into what's actually happening on the other side of the room. Not the performance of therapy, the real thing. And honestly, it's about the relationship, which there's so much that I'm going to go on a soapbox here for a minute. There's so much focus, and rightly so, about modalities and interventions. Is somebody doing EMDR, CBT, ERP, right? I don't know. There's so many. And those are important, right? Like we need to have things to do. But what the research has shown again and again and again is that the most powerful intervention in therapy is the relationship with the therapist. Because the fact is, you could have the most brilliant therapist, you could have the most brilliant clinician in front of you. But if you guys don't mesh well, you don't feel seen and heard, and you guys just don't click, therapy is not going to be super effective. You may as well just go buy a workbook, right? Because therapy is different than, you having a traditional healthcare provider, a doctor that you don't really like, but maybe you see them once a year or a few times a year or just for an issue and they're just there for that medical issue. Therapy is different. A lot of therapy, our personality comes out and personalities need to match. So she really showed what the therapeutic relationship looks like and how powerful it is. And she also does a really good job of explaining some of the intricacies and difficulties of the therapeutic relationship, because we have a lot of restrictions that other healthcare providers don't have. So I loved that. The second thing that stood out to me was her brutal honesty about her own experience as a client. And I mean brutal in the best way possible. So she goes into therapy with expectations, don't we all? And she is wildly surprised. And I love that she doesn't clean that up or make herself look good. I mean, she really just shows you her humanness. She lets you see her resistance, her avoidance, the ways that she tried to manage and control the process, the moment she was completely caught off guard by what came up. Most people are surprised by therapy, even people who think they know what to expect. And I say this as someone who is a therapist and was still surprised by my own therapy. There's something that happens when you sit in that chair or you sit on the couch that you just cannot fully anticipate from the outside. And she just captured it so well. And like her relationship with her therapist is really cool. Now, I will say he's a little non-traditional in some of the ways that he worked with her. All good, but just different. Just their relationship, I just loved it. Yeah. I don't really have much else to say. There wasn't really anything. Okay, there were some things that I didn't like, but you have to read the book and then you will probably not like the same things. And I don't want to give any spoilers. But in the same way that as a therapist, many times people don't leave session feeling fantastic. There's a lot of times where we can't tie it up neatly with a bow, right? And give them this little gift as they walk out the door. That's something I've struggled with as a therapist, just tolerating that with my own clients, that sometimes the ending of something is a little bittersweet. And she did that with this book. Yeah. So from a clinical standpoint, this is not a therapy textbook. And it's not trying to be, but I love it. And what I would love for everyone to do is to read it to understand that therapeutic relationship and to maybe get a different perspective on what therapy can look like. Because she does what a lot of clinical books don't do. They'll talk about strategies and interventions and tips and all those things, and that's great. But she makes the therapeutic relationship feel human and real. And I think that matters enormously. So I have recommended this book to clients before. I'll keep recommending it. I think it's great for people who are hesitant about therapy, don't really understand what it is. It just has a way of making therapy feel approachable and worth it without being a sales pitch. As far as format, I read a physical copy and an ebook. Both were absolutely great. I think an audiobook would work so well. I mean, it's written so conversationally. Like, it just reads like a fiction book. It's just very easy to read. Okay, now, don't be shocked if you get the physical copy or you see the audiobook, how long it's going to take. It's a bit of a longer book, but it moves fast. So you will not feel the length. And I think oftentimes what happened to me will happen to you, of I'll just kind of get lost in the book and realize how much time has passed. So this one is going on my office bookshelf. And if you have been on the fence about reading it, well, get off the fence, friend. Go read it. Reading this book inspired me to do something that I haven't done on this podcast before. I recorded an episode about my own experience as a client in therapy, my real experience, some of the ways that I crashed and burned, a lot of the lessons that I learned, and how it has genuinely changed my life. And I'll leave it at that because I want you to go and listen to it. So that episode is already out. I was so excited to record it. I wanted to do that one first before this one. I'm very proud of it. I'll be honest, a little nervous, it's a little vulnerable, but again, I think that we grow when we share our vulnerabilities. So just like Gottlieb wrote about sitting in the client chair, I got to tell you what it felt like from where I sat. All right, let's talk about what we're reading next. For May, we are reading The New Rules of Marriage by Terrence Real. I love Terry's clinical work. He is a licensed social worker, and he has created kind of his own training institute. He has his own model. It's great. I feel like he makes improving your marriage or relationship practical and tangible. I feel like some other ones, he does a really good job of balancing like the skills that you need, but also the deeper things that need to be happening. I feel like a lot of books are either they go really deep, and they're going to be pretty hard to do, especially if couples are really in conflict, or, other books just stay really at the skills and they just miss a lot. So I loved it. What I love about this book, I find so helpful that I haven't seen before, is that he addresses how to navigate a partner who doesn't want to do the work. So when he's talking about his strategies and skills, he's talking about both how you can do it with a partner who wants to do the work and what to do if they don't. Because even if your partner doesn't want to change, you can still work on your side of things. So if you're in a romantic relationship of any kind, or you want to be in one, honestly, if you just want to have any relationship with any kind of human, period, these skills will translate even into friendships. Please read this book. This is another one. Everyone needs to read this book. My kids, when they're old enough, are going to read this book. It's so good. And this month is extra special because we're going to be having a guest join me for the episode about the book. So go grab your copy of The New Rules of Marriage, get reading, and I'll save you a spot for next time.